Hey everybody, GC13 here, and welcome to the Infinity Train Conspiracy Corner. The mirror world is a fascinating place. Everyone seems quite dedicated to mirroring our existence, but we never get any inkling as to why. Whatever their reasons, this policy is carried out by reflection enforcement, the Flex. If there are any slivers who won't get with the program, these are the guys who are called in to sand them down. The only two Flex we've ever seen are Mace and Sieve. They were called in when Tulip's reflection went rogue, and it's because of conversations with and about them that we know what we do about the mirror world's enforcers. The first thing about reflection enforcement is that you don't ask to join, they ask you. As every mirror person knows, after their prime dies, they'll be given the choice to either lose their memory and reflect a new person, or become a reflection enforcement officer. Dialogue with Mace seems to indicate this is true. When MT calls him a coward for not wanting to lose his identity by being recycled, instead becoming one of the hated and feared Flex, he defends himself by saying he didn't care about his memories or his identity. It was a desire to protect the balance. So, is that it then? It's all true? I'm not so sure. It all seems a little too perfect, doesn't it? Just look at the Flex bodies. They look like they came off of an assembly line. When you become a Fleck, you don't even have a face anymore, just a mask you put on when you're in the mirror world. They may sell keeping your identity as being one of the key benefits of becoming a reflection enforcement officer, but we know for a fact that officers lose their physical identities. And it's not just that a mirror person loses their face when they become a Fleck. The change runs far deeper than that. Tulip's mirror needed her cooperation to enter the Prime World, but once she was up there, she was able to run free with no special gear so long as she was touching a reflective surface. The way Mace talks about chasing her, it sounds like that need to touch some kind of mirror is a little-known quirk of their physiology. It is, however, a quirk that reflection enforcement officers don't have to deal with, at least not in the same way. Not only are Flex able to enter the Prime World without the aid of a Prime, which makes sense since they don't have Primes, their suits allow them to roam freely without worrying about touching a reflective surface. Their suits aren't just special gear created to give them an advantage, though. Their suits are mandatory. If an officer's suit is damaged, his body will start leaking through it and tether him to the nearest reflective surface. We've seen Mace and Sieve call off a hunt and return to base to repair a damaged suit. Well, if a Fleck decided he was done with the Force and wanted to run away, he wouldn't have that option. Eventually, his suit would take too much damage for him to patch, and then he'd be trapped, just like any other sliver. Worse, in fact, as his body would turn to goo, making it almost impossible for him to even try to free himself. So, while these faceless soldiers can be equipped to roam the Prime World unhindered in search of their targets, their bodies come with a fatal flaw that keeps them coming back to home base. If that doesn't sound like some authoritarian government's dream army, I don't know what does. I don't even know if Flex actually used to be someone else. Mace believes he had a life before becoming a Fleck, but that's another too perfect thing, isn't it? The Flex brutally enforce the barrier, and if there's one word that I would use to describe the mirrors of 1-1 and Atticus, it would be compliant. They do what they're told, and that's it. It seems to me that dangling an eventual job in reflection enforcement would be a pretty enticing way to maintain compliance. Keep them telling themselves that they only have to do this for a little while, pay their dues, and then they'll be able to move their way up the ladder. MT called Mace a coward for not wanting to lose his identity, but I think a more likely reason for joining would be just wanting a little bit of autonomy. Well, as enticing as the offer sounds to you or me, for it to be true, it can't be very enticing to mirror people, or by now you'd already have way more Flex than ordinary people. That is to say, you'd have way more Flex than you need. Since all of the mirror people we've met seem to think like a Prime, and yet we don't see two Flex standing over every mirror person's shoulder, I really don't think Flex come from ordinary people. And they don't actually have to either. The offer to join the Flex rather than reflecting a new person already implies the ability to create brand new mirror people out of nothing, so by the mirror world's own admission, they would have the ability to create brand new Flex out of nothing too. Of course, if the offer to join the Flex is all a lie, that leaves your other option. Be recycled and reflect a new person. I hope it's true, I really do, but I just can't believe. Each mirror person is intimately tied to a Prime, changing physical appearance with them as they age and grow, and reflecting them, and only them, in every reflective surface. What's more, if that mirror person decides to stop showing up for work, that Prime won't get a new reflection, she just has to live without one. So, I think that mirror people aren't made, they just happen. Flex aren't selected from ordinary people who want to join, they're created to keep the reflections in line. Who in the mirror world decided that it had to be like this is a mystery, but they're lying to everyone about where they and their tormentors come from, and the fate waiting for them at the end of the tunnel. What do you think? Do you believe reflection enforcement, or do you think I've got the scoop on this whole conspiracy? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more cartoon videos.